Well, I'll introduce you guys to Chris Salerno. He's led a brokerage that was #1 in the Carolinas. He sold over $40 million in real estate before he was 24. He went on to close over $140 million in sales every year after that. But besides selling real estate, I'm excited for you guys to hear from him because he's super passionate about giving back to other agents. He told me that he coached an 18-year-old who sold 70 plus homes his first year in the business, which is crazy. And I'm super excited to have you on here because we've got a handful of younger agents that I know are gonna be really inspired by your story. But he's also passionate about helping other people build their wealth. He's the founder of QC Capital. That's what he's doing now. It's a private equity company that specializes in acquiring large multifamily assets. So I first heard Chris on the GSD Mode podcast, which I know a lot of you guys listen to, and he just had a ton of good stuff to say. I had to bring him on here so that you guys could hear from him yourself. So please welcome Chris. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to add value to everyone and give some golden nuggets that I actually took away from brokeraging and what I transitioned into. So thank you.
Yes, and everyone get out your pens and papers to write down these nuggets and your questions as they come. So tell us a little bit more about how you first got started in real estate.
Yeah, so I'm the type to put your back against the wall, and one example that I always give to people is that if we were back in the Stone Age where we would have to hunt for our food, the wives would tell the husbands, go out and get us food and bring it back to the tribe. Well, as a husband, you would not want to come back empty-handed because everyone would starve. So that's how I treated getting into real estate, is that I had a certain amount of capital that I had in the bank account. And I left working 2 jobs. I didn't come from a wealthy family. My parents, actually, I say they taught me how to manage money better because they managed it poorly. And I learned that that's not how you're supposed to manage money. So I learned how to manage money properly. But I left 2 jobs and I had a certain amount in the bank account. And I said, I will make this work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm all in. I'm going to make this work. Took my real estate class, got into real estate, and very quickly found a niche. And then from there, I created a small team, and I'll go into deeper on how that niche came about later in our conversation. But I created a very small team with myself, closing coordinator, buyer agent. So I wasn't running around showing buyers. I only showed personal buyers. And then from there, I merged that with the #1 team in the Carolinas. When I did that merger, I fell into their operational role because I always had a passion for business. I love business. And when I got into it, what I did was I said, let me look at your P&L, and if you know Keller Williams, if you know how a team is structured, or if you have a team, as the rainmaker, they call it, who is the CEO of the company, does a P&L all the time. So I studied the P&L and I asked, what are you doing with these expenses? Why are they going here? What's this? What's that? And he didn't know the answer. So I said, look, we need to put systems in place. And so once I put the systems in place, I started training the sales agents, and I made sure that they were held accountable, started training them, and very quickly they started selling homes at a quick pace because we're all volume. I think when I left, we were at like 775 homes we sold in 2018, and that's when I left towards the end of 2018. And from that, I was able to make them 46% profitable. And when I left, they were producing around 147 to 150 million in annual sales. But when I first joined, and I was only with the company about a year and a half, they were around 97, 96 million in annual sales. So just a couple things going in there, was able to jump them up there to that amount. And then I pivoted everything into creating my own private equity firm that buys large apartment complexes. One thing I could not stand. And for those top producers that are on this call, and for the people who are going to be top producers, you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam quarterly payments. Because if you don't, they're going to fine you even more money. Now, that doesn't make sense that they're going to fine you more money if you don't pay them on a quarterly basis, but that's how the system works. And I was paying Uncle Sam on a quarterly basis, big checks. And I was like, this is crazy. So then I found out about multifamily syndication, and that's what I'm in. And now I don't pay taxes. Because I invest in real estate, I depreciate the asset, and I take a loss because I'm a real estate professional. I take a loss every year, even though I have a large amount of cash flow from these assets, I still take a loss and I don't pay taxes. So that's the benefit of investing in real estate alongside doing what you love of selling real estate. You should invest on the side of that, so you don't have to pay those large amount of checks on a quarterly basis. So
And that's your first nugget for the new agents, to set aside your money for your checks until you start investing.
yeah, definitely do that. You know, set it aside, but also start to look for investments. And I started out with single family investments. I started out flipping houses, but it really didn't make sense until I found out about what I do now, which is multifamily syndication and having investors invest into it, and then they get huge tax benefits. And that helps tremendously. And if you register as a real estate professional on your taxes, now I'm not a CPA, so don't take this. I'm just taking it from experience and giving you what I've done. Is if you register as a real estate professional and you buy into these large apartment complexes with the depreciation, because you're a real estate professional, you get to write off everything on your taxes. Now, if you had a W-2 job and you didn't do that, you would still get some tax deductions, but not enough as if you were a real estate professional.
And that's super good to know. And I want to come back to that at the end on how you got into the investing, because I see some eyes lighting up as you're talking about it now. But I want to rewind now and go back to the beginning. So I said when I was introducing you, 40 million before you were 24. And just to let everyone know, I mean, what was the sales price where you were? I'm sure it's very similar to where we are.
It was like, the average sale price was like 275. I wish it was LA, like, 5 million, but it was like 275,000. So I remember showing up in my Range Rover in a $2,000 suit to a trailer park. So I know how to title a trailer, unfortunately, but I wish I was in a $5 million house out in LA. But yeah, it's 275,000 here.
So I wanted you guys to kind of know that 40 million when you're selling 275,000 is a lot of houses. So I want to start with the basics that you did at the beginning. I was talking to one of our top agents the other day, and he said this to me, and I thought it was so important for new agents, especially to hear. He said, people overestimate the opportunities they're never given, and they underestimate the opportunities they are given. Meaning we're all kind of looking for like that quick fix, the golden nugget. But what I loved about you and your story is you started with very basic things. The two things that you talked a lot about when I heard from you were the open houses and the cold calls, which are things that no one really wants to do. But you found great success. So I want to start with just kind of talking about open houses. Walk us through like how you chose your open house, how you marketed it, etc.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. And real quick, before I jump into it, everything goes back to the basics. And from my experience, the reason why I got into and created a private equity company was because of the game Monopoly. So so it always goes back. But when it comes to open houses, I did like 75 open houses my first year. And I kept doing them. And I found huge successes in open houses. What I did was I made sure that I wasn't a top agent. I just started. So what I did was I found the top agent in the office. And normally the top agent is a listing agent. If we all know, you list to last. So I found the top agent, and I said, and I looked on the MLS, what his I call them assets, but what his listings were. And I found the best listing, priced right in the market. I don't want $1 million house. Priced right in the market. Location is perfect where everybody wants to be. And what I did was, maybe it's priced a little too high, which is good because you'll be in the house longer. But I went to that agent. I said, hey, do you have anybody doing an open house? Would your sellers be willing to do an open house? Normally sellers want, as everybody knows from Zillow and HGTV, sellers know how to sell their own home. So they want open houses. So if you go to the top listing agent, say, but you got to look on location. Say, I want to do an open house every single weekend until this house sells. That's the key, is consistency. My number one investor who invests alongside of us into these large apartment complexes, it took me 8 months to get him on the phone, but I called him every 2 weeks. And he eventually bought 5 properties, investment properties, when I brokeraged from me, 5 properties in less than 3 months. And then I transitioned him over into investing in large multifamily assets. So when you do an open house, you want to stay consistent. Tell that top agent I want to do an open house every Saturday and Sunday until the property sells. Now, don't do it early in the mornings. Don't do it later in the evenings. I found anywhere from 11 to 4 is a sweet spot. So if you do 12 to 2, 11 to 1, 2 to 4, that's that sweet spot where everybody's out and about. They maybe go and grab lunch. They see your open house signs and they'll pop in. Especially on the weekends, people are going to go, or on Sundays, people are going to go to church on Sundays. So you want to make sure it's right after church, maybe 2 to 4 or 1 to 3, something like that, where on their way home, they'll pop in. But you have to stay consistent with it. Do it until it sells. Some days I had no one coming in. It was snowing outside. It was raining outside, but I was in that house staying consistent until the house sold. Now, good thing is for me, the house was a little overpriced. It was on the higher end of the market. It was around 700,000, but it was perfect for that area. And the other thing is that it was only 3 turns to get there. And I know you and I discussed this, is that you don't want a house in the back of the neighborhood. And as everybody knows, Amazon has controlled us in the ability that we want it instant. I want it today. If not, I want it next day shipping. I want to click 2 buttons and I bought the product off Amazon. People don't want to drive with their GPS half a mile or a mile to the back of the neighborhood. They want 1, 2, 3 turns, boom. Now, one of those 2, 3 turns, in my opinion, from what I've gained from open houses, has to be off a main road. Now, main, busy, high traffic road. Why? Because you're going to have your signs out there. But it's only 1, 2, 3 turns, boom, there's the house. It's not, oh, it's off of a dirt road, then it's 2, 3 turns, now it's way back there. No, have it off of a main traffic road. So when you're on the MLS, search top listing agent in your company and find it with the maps to make sure it's off just 2 to 3 turns. And I did that consistency. Why? Because every time someone drove by that main road, they kept seeing every single weekend, open house, open house, open house. Now, if you want to get real creative on your open house signs, put your face and your phone number on there, saying open house. So now they're memorizing your face, your name, your phone number, your company, and they're seeing that you're there every single weekend. Then they're going to eventually come in. When it comes to the house, is you don't want to sell the house. Now, a lot of agents think, well, I'm going to do an open house, sell the house. I did 75 homes, my open houses my first year, and I never sold that a single house that I was in. Never sold a single house that I was in. Now, I sold a ton of buyers and I got a ton of listings, but I never sold that physical house. Got close. I put an offer on it, but another buyer beat us out. But never sold it. So when you're in there, you want to build relationships. What's the key to selling? Is you want to gain their trust. You want to build the relationships. So if I was talking to Allie and Allie walked in my open house, I say, Allie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful. Did you see a sign or did you see us on Zillow? What made you pop in today?
Yeah, I saw a sign, so I just swung in. I'm interested in the neighborhood.
Perfect. I work hard to put those signs out. So that's great. What's interesting you about this neighborhood?
Well, I like the school district.
Yeah, it is a great school district. Now, real quick before I'm going to pause, rattle off the school district. I know, you got to be very limited on what you can say and what you can't say, but if the school districts are top ranking, rattle them off. Oh, wonderful. So-and-so elementary school, middle school. So what's important to you? Is it elementary, middle, or high school to you, Allie?
Right now it's elementary.
Oh, wonderful. So how old are your kids?
It's elementary, first grade.
Oh, that's great. I have actually 2 kids. I'm a stepdad to an 8-year-old going on 21. She's in 2nd grade. And then I have a newborn. He's 8 months going on 5 years old. So those are very exciting times. So yes, the so-and-so elementary school is a great elementary school. That's where my kids are in. And I think your kids really will like it. What area are you moving from?
I live over near town center.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Yeah, that's a great location. I know that location very well. Anything you're looking in a house before I'll go ahead and let you get started taking a look?
Well, besides the location, I just want to make sure I have a yard for my kids.
Yard. Okay.
Plenty of space.
Plenty of space. Perfect. Well, this is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, a little over 2,000 square feet, a great size backyard, 2-car garage. It does have an extra bonus room for the kids to play in. I know mine decides to just mess up the living room, but it's also good to throw them in there if you need to and keep them quiet. Go ahead and take a look at the house. Right when you get back downstairs, I'll be right here to answer any questions you may need. Okay?
Okay, so this is other Allie now, the interviewer. So
Yep.
you can walk with them. You just stay there at the front door?
I don't stay at the front door. I walk and I guide them to the living room, to the common area, but I let them tour the house because with me, number one, a house is going to sell itself. I mean, only so many people are going to walk in the bedroom and say, well, look, this is a bedroom. This is a bathroom. And it's like, come on, they know it. So the house is going to sell itself, but you don't want to feel like that used car salesman right there as like a leech on their shoulder. Oh, this, that. Now, when they come out of the bedroom, you can say, oh, did you guys see that beautiful vanity, or what did you like about that?
Okay.
But I already know now you want space. You want a large backyard, I assume, for the kids to play. So as you walk through and pass me, I just ask you about how you like the house, pros and cons, what would you do differently? And then once they're about to leave, because you're building that connection, we built the connection, we both have kids, school's important to you. Okay, this is what I'm going to ask you, Allie. Because I know my market, you have to have market knowledge. Allie, there's a house down the road in Stone Creek neighborhood that really fits your description that you gave me, and it's in the same school district. What's the price point that you're looking at? Is this the house that you're kind of looking in a price point?
Well, I think this one's a little high for me.
Little high. Okay, good. Well, the good thing is that it's always negotiable. So what we should do is I want to send you that house because I think you'll be interested in it. Are you familiar with 123 Main Street down the road?
I think so. I mean, I know that general area.
Great. I know sometimes on Zillow it can be very confusing. I'm going to shoot you an email of some pictures of the house. No rush. I just want to send you some information, and it's also good to stay on top of the market that way. What's a good email? Because I really feel it fits your criteria.
Do you have a card that I could just take instead?
Yeah, more than happy to give you a card. I always like to just follow up with everyone who came in, and the seller likes us to follow up too. And I really think you'll like this house too. If you have a good email, I can just shoot you an email. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe from the list. No big deal. You'll hurt my feelings just a little bit, but you can unsubscribe. Is that okay?
That'll be fine.
Okay, perfect. So get their email, get their phone number. It's always good to follow up, and it's always good to get their information because, we've all heard those stories that maybe something's gone missing during an open house. So, you can also tell them that, it's also for security reasons. Seller wants us to just make sure we have everyone's email and phone number down. But the reason why you're going to say yes is because I'm giving you what you want. You want a big house, you want large space, you want a large yard. You have kids, you like the school district. So I'm giving you what you want. And more than likely, if they've been in the business or been in the house hunting for a while, they may know of it, they may not. But having that market knowledge of 123 Smith Street down the road fits that criteria with that same school district. I think you're really gonna like that. Let me shoot you an email of some pictures in the description because that may interest you. So I did that a lot. And doing that, I built their trust. I built tons of friends. I still talk to them today that bought houses from me. The most exciting time is I built so good of a relationship with a couple that came in. I was at a KW mastermind out in Austin, and I get a phone call, or no, actually I was out in LA. I get a phone call from them, and they say, Chris, we just walked in this new construction build, and we like the house a lot, so we signed a contract. And I'm like, oh my God, you didn't tell me? Like, are you serious? You just signed a contract, and it was a $450,000 house. I was like, are you serious? And they said, don't worry, I put your name down. And by the way, I think the agent on site said there was a $5,000 agent bonus too. I was like, okay, well, that makes the trip better. So it was all because I built that connection and that relationship with them at that open house that they trusted me. But the biggest thing is market knowledge. They knew I knew my market, and that's what they felt comfortable at, is because I heard their needs, and I could just rattle off on the top of my head, you would like this neighborhood, and there's 4 houses available in this neighborhood. Ideally, I think 2 of these houses in this neighborhood would really fit your criteria. Let's go take a look at them. or rattle off what those houses offer in their needs. So that's what I did throughout open houses. And a lot of those buyers had to sell. So I, listed their house, or if they're in the neighborhood and they walk in, because we all know neighbors are nosy. So if they're in the neighborhood and they walk in, talk to them. Talk to them about what you're doing marketing that property. How many people have came? Have they thought about selling? Why did they show up in here? More than likely because they're nosy and they want to see their neighbor's house. But things like that has really helped during the open house.
And I want to backtrack.
Yep.
I want to make sure everyone heard this because I think it's so important to do your research before the open house.
Oh, yeah.
The agent can go back to the office, set up a search and find something, but you set yourself apart by being able to rattle off the market. And you converted me from this house being slightly too high for me to showing me that you're an expert of that neighborhood and pointing me to another house down the street. So
correct. And real quick too is know what's for sale in that neighborhood too. The one thing I just can't stand is when you go in a house and an agent doesn't know what's for sale, or the seller or another owner in that neighborhood comes in and knows a better house down the street, and knows what it's listed for, knows the square footage, knows it has a pool that maybe yours is a little overpriced. Be able to know that, because I've been in situations where other owners will come in and say, why are you guys listing it at this price? And boom, I got to rattle off, well, so-and-so down the street just sold. They have a pool, or they didn't have a pool. This has a pool. So that makes it a little more attractive. Their master bedroom had a very small master closet. This has a large walk-in closet with a claw tub, so it's very good. You have to be a market knowledge in this business. Yes. Everything is. So
you're going to one of the top listing agents. You're finding not necessarily the most expensive listing, but one that's a good price point. Location, market knowledge, becoming an expert before the open house. Is there anything else you're doing to market the open house? Yeah, so I've tried phone calls. I have not personally seen that being helpful. When it comes out to flyers, we had a runner that did all the paperwork and stuff like that. I would have him go out, and we have little circle news. No one gets the news or the paper anymore, but little circle paper boxes. I'd have him put flyers there. If it doesn't have it, I'd had him fold it up and put it between the little flag that comes up, because there's a little tiny crease and it sits perfect there. Hurricane won't even knock it over. So just right in there, because they're going to see their mailbox, and it's good for the sellers to do that, the owners in that area to go ahead and look at that so they come. But also something going above and beyond is you can go to move up neighborhoods. So neighborhoods that are below this neighborhood that normally people will move up into a bigger neighborhood because of kids, or they got a raise or something like that, and go to those neighborhoods that people are moving out of and moving up to a bigger house and target them as well. That is a hot idea. I'm thinking about my last neighborhood. The first 5 streets were townhouses. Mm-hmm. The back of the neighborhood was big single family houses. So a neighborhood like that, if you were to target the front of the neighborhood, I had a lot of neighbors that wanted a house and outgrew, and they still loved the neighborhood. They didn't want to move, but they just needed a bigger house, and they'll move to the back. So really good idea. All right, so open houses, that I took some notes. I hope you guys did too. Last question on open houses. So follow-up. So, in our role play, you obviously sent me houses that were similar to what I was looking for. Any other good tips or systems for building relationships after the open house? Yeah. So the number one thing you'll hear me say throughout this and throughout my lifetime is consistency and following up. Consistency and following up. You cannot do it enough. Now, you don't want to be annoying and being a pest, but being consistent and following up is key. My investment analyst who works for me, my thing is that if you interview for a position in our company, I will not email you as a follow-up. I want to see 3 emails that you followed up about the position and about the interview before I talk to you. So I will have the email go ghost. I won't do anything. My investment analyst reached out to me twice via email, twice on Instagram, and one on Facebook Messenger in about a month span, because he knows I'm so busy. So he wants to make sure he's getting in front of me. So
Consistency and following up is key. So after you send that initial email, you want to include something personal that you guys talked about in that email. So, what they did that day, if you talked about it, or where they came from, or their kids getting into that elementary school. Here's a link to the elementary school and when the deadline is, if a deadline's coming up for enrollment or sports or anything like that. I know we discussed it and that was on your top priority. Attached is some of the homes and my personal website where it's always up to date and it does come out with more accurate information than Zillow does. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like to take out or go out and see it. I can schedule a time with you. And if they don't email you, follow up in about a week, but keep following up at least once a week and until they tell you no. Flat out, no, I'm not buying. Wonderful. You're not buying right now, Allie. When do you think you will?
Maybe next school year.
Next school year. Perfect. How about I follow up in just about 3 to 4 months to make sure you're getting my emails and all the information. And then from there, we can go ahead and have another call to see if that has moved up or not.
And then do you wait the full 3 or 4 months?
No, I don't. I normally wait about a month and a half. About a month and a half or a month, just to shoot them. Hey, I just want to make sure you're getting my emails. Let me know if you have any questions. But you always want to stay in front of them. Like I said, our number one investor who invests alongside of us into these large deals, it took me 8 months to get him on the phone. Once I got him on the phone, he congratulated me and appraised me for my consistency and that I kept in track with him. Come to find out, he's a huge CEO of a large public company here in Charlotte. They have multiple offices around the world. He just became CEO, and he makes a couple million a year. He's just so busy. So he's my best friend now, and he's my godfather. Him and his wife are my godparents to my newborn. Aww. So it took me 8 months to get him on the phone. So it's consistency and keep following up. That's key. But most agents, the reason why they fail, and not only agents, any type of business, is because they don't stay consistent and they don't follow up. That's the biggest thing. One horror here, I'll give this horror story and then we can go on, is that I was selling a house. And we got it closed. We were at the closing table. And here in the Carolinas, some attorneys will split us up. Some attorneys won't. They put us in one room. It just depends. But we were in one room at this particular attorney's. And I'm sitting there with my sellers. We're chit-chatting, having fun. And these buyers walk in and sit across from us. And I'm like, you guys look very familiar. And they said, yes, we came into your open house about 4 months ago. And I said, are you serious? And I did not follow up with them. And ever since that day, I said, I'm going to create a system to follow up because I was mad. And this was a $400,000 or $500,000 house. I was like, I was just mad at myself that I did not follow up with those buyers. And they used someone else to buy my listing. Wow. So that was a learning lesson.
Again, though.
Say that again.
I said, I bet you never made that mistake again.
I never made that mistake again.
I made sure it didn't happen. We all have those stories that haunt us.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the cold calls, which is probably making some people cringe a little bit. It's the least sexy thing that we do, but it's so important. So start off just kind of telling me who you called.
Yeah, so I used a software called RedX. I know there's like Vulcan 7. I started using that as well. I created systems. It's key to have a system in your business. You are the CEO of your business. You control your business. You need to have correct systems in there. If you don't have systems, you're just all over the place. So I had at the time by myself, I'll talk about by myself, and then when I ran the team, by myself, every morning, I would pull the list of expireds. Before I got into cold calling, I thought it'd be a great idea to map out from the MLS the farthest house and the closest back to the office, and me drive to the farthest house and door knock every single house until I get back to the office. Well, I figured it took me 10 hours to do that. Took a lot of gas money. It was very hot some days, and no one picked up because they were always at work. So I said, this is a waste of my time. And some people love door knocking. They find success in it. Me personally, I just thought it was a waste of my time, and the numbers didn't make sense to me. So from there, what I did was I said, I have to master cold call. I have to master it. So I started looking at YouTube videos of cold callers on how they're cold calling. A lot of them they're just on there and they're scripting. They have their mom or someone else calling and they're just scripting on the phone. I figured that out quickly. But it's good to listen to what they say. And you have to analyze words and sentences. That's key. So after I started getting a hang and listening to it, I started then just cold calling. And the best thing I learned from is trial and error. So every morning I would suck from the expireds withdrawals out of Red X, and I would call. I would just pick up and call an expired, and with my market knowledge, with the systems that I had, convince them that we should have a meeting to discuss, if they're still interested in selling, we should have a meeting to discuss us listing their property and getting their property sold. And the biggest thing is that I remember sometimes I hated cold calling at the beginning, and I would cold call, and then I'm like, or no, I would look at my phone. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I'd call and then it'd be like, number disconnected. And I'm like, whew, oh, I missed that one. That was a good. So, and then after a while, I'm like, the biggest failure in individuals, them actually doubting themselves, and it's fear. That's the biggest failure. It's not them actually failing. It's them doubting themselves or the fear to even get started. So I said, I'm just talking to another person. So I just started calling. And the most genuine conversations we have on the phone, that's the best. And the good thing about social media now is from Vulcan X, it pulls up who the owner is and the public tax records. Facebook them and find out what they like to do. Friend request them on Facebook and see if they have any mutual friends. Number one, that's huge. And I'll get into what I'm doing now with my company. But if they have mutual friends, I'm calling them and saying, oh, hi, I noticed that you and Allie are friends on Facebook, and we just connected on Facebook. I know Allie. How do you know Allie? Oh, I know Allie long ago. And I'm calling because I noticed that your home is no longer listed by the previous agent. It pops up on my desk every single day of every home that's expired, and wanted to see if you're still wanting to move. And then go on with the conversation, but build some sort of connection if you can. If they don't have any connection, find a connection through it. Now I've called people and they no, yes, no, goodbye, and hang up. And it's like, okay, well, you can only do so much, and you'll get those people cuss you out, hang up, get me off your list, blah, blah, blah. But it's really building that connection. It's try to find a way to build that connection up front so they open up to you. So I definitely, that's what I did when I first got started. And that's what it's helped me project me in the cold calling.
So were you big into like tracking your numbers? Like I dialed this many people, I set this many appointments. Did you have like accountability systems for that?
So there was one agent in the office that I was in that she would track all her numbers every single week. And she said, well, if I made 100 calls a day, I would get these many appointments and this and that. I didn't track it.
Okay.
I just called. Boom, I'm calling. Yeah. Now, what I did do is I followed up. I followed up with them. Now, you would follow up with the seller because they're already ready to sell a lot quicker than you would with the buyer, depending on the buyer and their motivation to buy. But I would follow up with the seller, and that's what it would get me with. Even if they, you run a fine line, but one thing I like to do is that, Allie, I noticed your home's expired and I wanted to give you a call because all the expireds pop up on my desk. Are you still planning on selling?
Not right now, honestly. I'm just kind of burnt out.
You're just burnt out? Yeah, I noticed it's been on the market for like 130 days. Why do you think that?
Honestly, I think my agent was just kind of lazy.
Yeah, very much so. And that's actually gets into my 3 rules. Do you have 5 minutes? I won't take too much of your time. Do you have 5 minutes where I can explain the 3 rules on how to sell your house?
I've got a lot going on.
Okay, it's just 3 rules on how to sell your house. And hey, if you go for sale by owner, you can use those same rules. Is that okay? 5 minutes?
Okay.
Perfect. 1 is the agent. The agent needs to market the property. It sounds to me like you said that your agent was kind of lazy and didn't market the property correctly. 2 is price. The price point has to be perfect. And from the MLS, me pulling up comps, you have a couple competitions down the road, but I think you're priced very well. And number three is the condition of the property. If the condition of the property is just not up to par, no one's going to want to buy it. And it seems like because your agent was a little lazy, the pictures were a little lazy. And I'm sure the condition of your property is beautiful. And with fixing that number one thing, with having a good team behind you, with great marketing and proven track record, will be able to sell your house. If your home sold, where would you want to move to?
I want to move into something a little bigger, but like I said, I'm just like, it was so hellacious, just like getting my kids out of the house.
I know.
House all the time. I just need a break.
Yeah. What about if I said, before you go ahead and show a house, I can qualify the buyer to ensure the buyer is ready, willing, and able to purchase your house, so you have that extra comfort?
How would you do that?
So with my network, I sell a lot of houses. With my network, I know a lot of these agents. So I would actually personally call the agent before they even come. And not only that, I would make sure I talk to the lender to make sure they're pre-approved and they're ready to come and buy the house. And we're not dealing with these buyers that are just walking in and wasting your time.
You would really do that for every buyer? I know that you're busy.
I know you want to move. And because of your previous agent being so lazy, and as we get to know each other, I have a zero tolerance for laziness. You have my word that I'm willing to do that.
Okay, well, I'll call you when I'm ready. I mean, you've given me the best presentation, so I'll let you know.
Perfect. Well, I have your email here. Do you mind if I just set you up on an email list of what's going on in your neighborhood so you can stay up to date on everything that's sold, so you can get a better idea, so when we do meet, you can know what's going on?
I guess that'd be okay. I just don't want you calling me all the time.
No, I won't call you. Trust me. I hate it when people call me as well. So I'll shoot you an email so you know what's going up to date. And I'll just follow up with you, not via phone, but just via email to check in with you next week or later this week to ensure you got my email and just to see if you have any questions with what's going on in your neighborhood. How's that sound?
That'll be fine.
Perfect. All right. Well, you enjoy a beautiful day, and I'll go ahead and set that up, and I'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. So what would you then, if I didn't answer, what would your follow-up be for that?
So if you didn't answer, I would leave you a voicemail,
Okay.
letting you know that either there's multiple voicemails you can leave. I have everyone's heard, I have a question for you. Please give me a call back. I've noticed that there was 3 things that the reasons why your homes did not sell. And I want to tell you those 3 things. Please give me a call back at your earliest convenience. But I would keep calling. But the biggest thing is then you go to Facebook and then you go to text message, text them. Shoot them a text. Everyone texts these days. Everyone sees text. Shoot them a text. Go to Facebook and just try to chat with them on Facebook about it. I used all those options, but the biggest thing is consistency. Follow up. Follow up with them. They may have other agents out there lined up, and you may get that appointment. You may not get that appointment. But if you follow up twice, and then you say, "Did you give up on this opportunity?" And if they don't email you back, that's a big thing too. I forgot to tell you guys, if they don't email you back, all you write in the body of the email, "Did you give up on this opportunity?" Period. Or excuse me, question mark. And send it to them. I promise you, you will get an email. Now, we just launched Just
Nothing in the body.
no, that's what you put in the body. Boom.
Oh.
Did you give up on this opportunity? Or you can put in the subject and nothing in the body. You may think I'm crazy, but currently right now I'm raising $350 million for a real estate fund, and I'm talking to large institutions that are investing $100 to $150 million into our fund, and I use that same thing on them to get a response. So if you say that for a buyer, for a seller, after a couple calls or a couple follow-up emails, I've had everybody from that initial one, I'd say 98% of them have emailed me back and either said, "No, I'm not interested," or something like that. But following up with them, going back, they may list with someone, they may not list with someone, but showing them that you're consistent with that follow-up, then you can also say, look how I've been consistent with you, Allie, so far. This is what I'm going to do to ensure that we have a buyer for your home. I'm going to stay consistent with them and following up so we get the correct feedback.
That's excellent.
Main thing is that everybody knows price sells. product, no matter if you have a t-shirt on, if you have a purse or whatever, if it's priced right, it's going to sell. So if you lower the price of the house, that's a conversation you have in person with them. Lower the price of the house, more than likely you'll sell. Unless it's, I mean, any price. I mean, I've sold trailer parks at low price before. So no matter what price it is, it will sell.
So I love that. Did you give up on this opportunity? I wrote it down. I got my notes. I hope you guys have your notes. But what I loved even more was the way that you said it, which I know you usually say it in an email, but the way that you kind of leaned in and you were like, did you give up on this opportunity with your tone? And that's something when I heard you speak before that you spoke a lot about. It wasn't just for you, it wasn't memorizing scripts, but it was learning about tonality and how you were delivering your message. So can you tell us kind of how you honed that skill?
That was hard. I mean, all of it's hard, but that's the biggest thing when you come to negotiation. And we just got a deal, hopefully under contract here soon. And I had a call with the seller, and I used that against them. I said, look, we have the same goal in mind. You want to sell the property. I want to buy the property. Our investors want good returns. Your investors want to exit in a good return. I want to make it a win-win situation. Let's get this deal done.
And then you pause.
And yes. The biggest thing is silence.
Yep.
is a negotiation. And I let them speak first. Once they speak first, I know I won. And we got it accepted. So that is key. But the tone of voice that I gave, I'm talking to you very calmly. And it's like when you do that, it changes their mindset, their thought process, their thinking, and it changes everything. Now I've used that on my fiance too. She doesn't know it, but I've used it on her, and I've got some things. So it does work on your spouse as well. So don't tell them I told you that, but you can try it on them before you try it on future clients or potential clients. But it does really help when you do that with your tone of voice. It helps tremendously.
Awesome. So did you teach yourself? I mean, did you have people that you listened to, books that you read, or was it just practice learning it the hard way?
YouTube is the key to a lot of people's success. YouTube is very easy. You know, you go in, you type whatever you want. You can listen to multiple different people. I really didn't read books when it came to residential. I read a lot of books now when it comes to business and multifamily and funds, hedge funds, all private equity world. But when it came to really doing the residential stuff, it was YouTube mainly, and then practice and error, trial and error. The more people you call, the more practice you're going to get, the better you're going to use. And I can tell when someone calls me, I know they're using a script. Right. I can tell it, from a mile away, that they're using a script. So you don't want to read it word from word. You really want to get it as a base of a foundation and build your own, but do it naturally. And it comes across a lot easier.
Okay. Deborah asked a question that I want to ask you before we move on because it's pertinent. Did you check the do not call list, or did you just call?
At first I just called, but then I had, when I ran the team, I had the assistant pull all the numbers in the morning, and he would just put it on my desk right when I got there. So that's good. So he would put it on my desk and he would check it. But at first I did not. I just called. And if they say I'm on the do not call list, say, I'm so sorry, me too. And then boom.
That's pretty funny. Kind of disarming.
Yeah, they normally laugh. You got to throw them off a little bit. Make it fun. Make it a game. Make them laugh and have them be enjoyable.
I'm so glad you talked about having fun with it. Tell us, okay, so you're calling, your teeth are getting kicked in with people hanging up or not answering, or F you, never call me again. Oh. How do you kind of rally and regroup from that? Boom,
on to the next.
Okay.
I don't know you personally. We've never had a drink. We've never had lunch together or anything. I have no feelings for you. So if you tell me F all, blah, blah, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Bye. I've never, and I built that though. When I first called, I was like, wow, this person's really rude.
Right.
You could throw out something. They may think you're rude if you're like, well, I hope you have a better day. Or what can I do to make your day better?
Yeah.
But when people do that, they just may have a bad day. So once they hang up with you, shoot them a text. Hey, it sounds like you may be going through a lot today. Let me know if you want to chat about real estate. I'm here. I don't want to bug you or anything. Just have a great day.
Yeah.
Or follow up with them. I always followed up on them. When people hung up on me, I would call them back and say, sorry, my phone got disconnected. But I would follow up with them the next day and I would say, hey, I know yesterday it seemed like, you had a lot going on. I'm sure, and this happens all the time. Once the house is expired, and really they don't know what expired means. My house expired. What is it? Rotten milk or something? No. So I always say your home's no longer for sale. So, once your home's no longer for sale, I'm sure you get 20 to 100 calls with agents bombarding you. And I'm sure it's stressful and you want to just turn the phone off. But I just wanted to follow up to make sure you're okay. And I know your home did not sell. And if you have any questions, because I'm a market expert, feel free to reach out to me. And I'll follow up with you next week just to check in to see how you're doing. So come across that way as well, because there's 20, 30, 40, 50 agents calling.
Right.
I trained the team that I had and everyone who I coached, I trained them to call on master cold calling, and to where it's just a habit now. So a lot of people are calling and a lot of people get irritated and bombarded. So, it's good to just follow up with them. Say, I know you got bombarded. Just want to see if you had any questions or what your next plans are, and go from there.
Acknowledging the obvious.
Correct.
Bombarded. And I want to go back to what you said at the beginning, when you're kind of talking to yourself, that the biggest failure is fear and self-doubt. So besides that, you have nothing to lose in doing this and just a whole lot to gain. And I know mindset is super important to you. I remember when I heard you were talking about how you would drive around your dream neighborhood and envision yourself living there, and you'd envision the cars that you wanted to have. Talk to us a little more about kind of your mindset at the beginning and your goal setting and how important that is to you.
Yeah. So, well, it's number one to me. That's, we're our own boss, unless you work for a team or you're on a team or you have an accountability coach, you're waking yourself up in the morning. I wake myself up in the morning at 5 a.m. no matter how late I go to bed or how much my newborn wakes me up. Now he's teething, so he wakes me up about 3 times a night. So if I had to have a accountability tracker, I'd probably only sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. But I have goals that I created. Creating those goals are from my earlier childhood on things I was brought up, and I was brought up in bad environments and I don't want to be in those environments. So I created goals around that. I created goals around people telling me I couldn't achieve anything or what I wanted to achieve, I couldn't do it. I've created goals around that. So there's good goals or there's good whys and bad whys. Good whys is, you stuff you're achieving for your family, things you want to do for the greater good of other people. Bad whys is what you experienced prior in your life to what you want to push you and motivate you to those good whys. So those are some of the things I've done. Mindset's everything. Mindset is everything. I believe in laws of attraction. You attract things that you are thinking of. I meditate in the mornings and the evenings because I want to bring those laws of attraction in. I was watching something. And, I was watching a show. My fiance is actually getting into real estate. So I'm coaching her a little bit. But I was watching a show that she had on, and the real estate agent on that show said, I sat in this $5 million, she was out in LA, keep in mind. I sat in this $5 million house for every weekend for about 8 months until it sold. But every time I sat in the house, I pictured me and my husband in here. I pictured my car out front, and she did that. And then she eventually bought that house. So your mindset's everything, in cultivating that laws of attraction to bring you that attraction. I'm a firm believer of if you do good to people, you'll get good in return. So creating that mindset's very important, and that starts with knocking all the negativity out of your life. I don't watch TV. If you watch TV, everybody knows of a drug commercial that comes on. it's 30 seconds. 28 seconds is how you're about to die from that drug. The last 2 seconds is how it may help your headache. And then when you're watching that whole 30 seconds, it's a beautiful family running on the beach.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it's all negative. Everything is negative. I don't watch TV. I watch the news for about 30 minutes to an hour every evening. The reason why is because I have clients in Singapore year up, and I need to stay up to date with what's going on, any tensions, what's going on with oil, all that, politics stuff, just so I can hold a conversation about it. But I'm not going to go deep into conversations about politics. I tell them, I don't want to talk about it because I'm unfamiliar with it. But I can at least hold a conversation about what's going on in the politic world right now. And you should do that when you get up to a certain level in business, but everything's negative. So I cut that out, 100%, cut that out. I put positivity in my life. Everything I follow on social media, positive quotes that are pouring into my mind. Everything I think of, positive. You asked me how my weekend was. Amazing. Best weekend I've ever had in my life.
Great weather.
People are like, you're crazy. Is it really the best weekend? Yeah, I'm alive. In my opinion, I live in a great country. Charlotte is beautiful. It was 70 degrees outside. Boom. So having that positive mindset will feed off your energy to your clients, to anyone who you're talking about. And it will also give you that positive energy. Real quick, my father was a boxer in the military. So his favorite boxer was Muhammad Ali. And he said he studied Muhammad Ali, and he said Muhammad Ali used to jog next to the school bus on the way to school every time in elementary school, middle school, and high school. He didn't ride the bus, he jogged. And everyone knows when you're in elementary and in school, they ask, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now kids say YouTubers, but when I grew up, they said NASA, astronauts. But Muhammad Ali stood up and he said, I will be the heavyweight champion of the world. He didn't say, I want to be.
Wow.
He said, I will be. And one thing that my father told me is that Muhammad Ali would always look in the mirror and say, I look good, I feel good, I'm the greatest.
Huh.
And I do that when I have my own 3 things I say, but I do that in the morning when I look in the mirror brushing my teeth.
Do you mind sharing yours?
Say that again?
You mind sharing yours?
So mine is, I look good, I feel good, I'm going to be a billionaire.
Okay.
Those are my 3 things. I look good, I feel good, I'm going to be a billionaire. And so having that type of mindset, just getting out into the day, because I've already meditated, I let everything go, really helps create that positive mindset and helps cultivate that mindset for that day that you come across. Everything and everybody knows, if you call me with bad news, you better tell me the bad news up front. Don't beat around the bush. I got bad news for you. This is happening. Okay. Now let me think on my options. What are my options? Any of my employees tell me I have bad news, they have to give me options on how to solve it after. I want to know options. What are you going to do to solve it? What are you going to do to fix the issue? Not that there's this bad news and you're coming to me to fix the issue. What are you going to do to fix the issue? But I'm helping them create that mindset, that positivity. Listen to David Goggins, Eric Thomas. He's a great, I met him personally. He's a great motivational speaker. Tony Robbins, everybody knows Tony Robbins, great motivational speaker. Listen to those guys, but I love David Goggins. He's a really crazy dude, but his mindset, building that mindset is key. If you don't work out, I have a newborn, so it's really hard, but I work out every evening. I go on a walk with him. Sometimes I really push myself to the limit when I work out. I have a trainer that yells at me to work out. But one thing I do when I go jog, if I'm jogging a mile or so, I'll jog with classical or jazz music playing. And people are like, well, normally I jog with like rap music or rock music or R&B to get me pumped. No, I jog with classical music. Why? Because the classical music is slowing down my brain and wanting me to relax. But I'm telling my brain I need to focus on reaching the goal, which is a destination and back. Let's go. And it helps build that mindset. So if you come across any situations, you can power through those. As you grow a business and as you grow a large real estate company, you will have lawsuits. You will have complaints. They're coming. If you're afraid of them, then you may want to sell a couple houses a year. But if you want to get into the business of selling 5, 6, 700,000 houses a year, You're going to have some complaint and you're going to have some lawsuit throughout the lifespan of you and being in business. That's just the way business is. So you have to be able to sleep at night with a law, knowing you're getting sued or something, knowing you have a complaint with the board of realtors because you maybe said something in an email or the buyer or seller felt like you didn't represent them or something. You need to be able to sleep at night, and having a strong and positive mindset will help you get through those situations. And ultimately it will help you cold call, help you build new business, and they'll feel that energy through the phone and through the in-person meeting that you truly care about them and that you love and you have a passion for real estate. So I know it's a long.
And I could talk to you all day, and I'm sure they could listen to you all day, but I want to be respectful of your time.
Thank you.
Thankful for it. So before we get into their questions, I want to fast forward to what you're doing now with QC Capital, and then also with your coaching. So wherever you want to start.
Yeah, so what I'm doing with QC Capital, so I created a private equity company. Like I said at the beginning, it was based off the game Monopoly. I knew that to really hit my goal, I need to own real estate and have it cash flow and produce. So I created QC Capital for that reason. Also because I don't pay taxes, which is nice because I depreciate all the assets, and all the investors who invest alongside of us do as well. And so what we do is we're a private equity company that we purchase large multifamily assets. We have investors like you guys who are accredited to invest alongside of us into it. They get monthly returns. They get the depreciation of the asset. And then ultimately when we sell, they get to reap the benefits of the profit. I've starting to work with some large real estate companies and teams here in the Carolinas to get their agents to invest so that they can limit their taxes and what they're paying in taxes. Because every real estate agent normally files as a real estate professional. And if you do that, you get the benefits of the depreciation of the property on all your income that you do. So I realized that, and now I'm like, well, why not help real estate investors not pay that much in taxes because they get to invest in these large deals. So that's what QC Capital is. We buy large apartment complexes.
Now,
your next question was?
Well, back before you move on.
Yep.
So are you just working in the Carolinas right now? Raza asked, he's in Texas. A lot of us are.
Yeah, I saw that email. So we do look in Texas. I have 2 employees that live in Dallas and in Houston. So we do work in Texas, and we have a great network in the Texas markets. We are focused heavily on the Carolinas. Why? Market knowledge. I know my market very, very well. I know when someone wants to come in here from another state to overpay for a property. I know what rents can go for. I know everything like that because I know my market. Plus I'm here and boots on the ground, which helps tremendously. So those right there. So we're in the Carolinas and in Texas markets.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that works out good for you, Raza, huh? And then your coaching, tell us about that.
Yeah, so coaching. So I talked to Allie about this, that I do coach some people, very limited, but I talked to Allie about this, that I would offer it to you guys as a coaching program that it is one-on-one, which my coach is one-on-one. Both of my coaches, and I have a call in 30 minutes with my second coach, is one-on-one. I don't have a program where there's a coach under me. You're going to get me one-on-one for 30 minutes once a week. For 30 minutes once a week for the next 6 months. Now, I'm only accepting 10 people. I will not accept any more. I don't want any more. I'm doing this because of the relationship Allie and I built, and to add value to you guys so you guys can sell more houses. That is the only reason why I'm doing this. Allie and I spoke. I've had people offer me 20, 30, 40 grand for me to be their coach, and I denied them. I told them, no, I don't want to coach. I don't want to do anything like that. But because of our relationship, I've decided to only accept 10 people into that program. So if you're selling a minimum of 1 house a month, you'll be able to get in to this program. I only want serious people who wants to really project and take their business to the next level. I don't want people to, come into this and think I'm going to handhold them, because I'm not going to handhold you. This is going to be accountability. This is going to be you actually getting out there and putting in the work. If you want to grow a team, if you don't want to grow a team, that's fine. but to where you're able to build that where it's just a referral base and you can have it come in. But I don't want anyone who is not going to take it serious because my time is valuable. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll have Allie send out my email. And if that's something that you guys are interested in, we can set up it via email or call to discuss pricing and everything like that.
Awesome. We really appreciate that offer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Do you have about 5 minutes to run through some of these questions?
I do. Let's knock them out.
All right. First question was asking about your favorite books, podcasts, and resources, which you already shared a couple people that you like to listen to who I wrote down. Any other mentors or resources?
Mentors. So podcast is another big thing. Listen to podcasts. Those are some great resources. YouTube podcasts and books if you can, but those are the main things because YouTube podcasts are always staying up to date and always pouring out great information. And I would say mindset for resources would be David Goggins, Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins. Those are the three that I have for now, which are extremely helpful.
Okay. And then, we talked a little bit about this already, your daily habits. You talked about your mindset stuff, your meditation, your exercising. The rest of the question was like, do you have a specific like time blocking routine each day? And let's kind of talk back to more like when you were selling real estate, because that's what they're doing here. And then the second part is, do you work 7 days a week?
Yes. All right. So first part, I even have time blocked when I need to be home to hang out with the family.
Okay.
My alarm goes off at 6:30 in the evening, and that tells me that I need to be at home to hang out with the family.
Okay.
So I have everything time blocked. When I go on a date with my fiance, I put it in my calendar. Everything is time blocked, and you need to do that. Now, unexpected things will come up. Like today, my little one, he's teething. He needs some medicine. So unexpected things come up. And as my fiance knows, she knows I own the company. So she thinks I can do anything and everything. And I can't just leave to go get medicine. So I hurry up and got someone to go stop by the store and give her medicine for the little one because she's not leaving the house because she has to homeschool. You got to love everything that's going on with COVID. But I had to take 20, 30 minutes out of my time to go ahead and, make sure the little one got medicine. So other than that, as a real estate professional, everyone thinks you can do everything. They think you can pick up the dry cleaning, think you can run and get groceries during the day. It's very key to time block. When it comes to the morning time, if you're going to cold call, time block it and do not let anyone bother you. Right now, 7 a.m. is when my day starts. And I have to do market research on what's going on in the market, what's going on internationally, what's going on in the private equity world. 8 o'clock, I reach out to funds. 9 o'clock, I follow up with those funds. 10 o'clock, I make sure all of our systems in place. I've contacted all of our employees, making sure all of our deal flow is coming in, and so on and so forth. Throughout the evening or throughout the afternoon, I have multiple calls. I do not eat. Sometimes I'll forget to eat lunch. So what I do is I Uber early in the morning on my way to work. I'll do Uber Eats and I'll set a calendar to drop off the food at my office at 12 to 1 o'clock in that ballpark. So it automatically arrives. So I don't have to worry about, well, what am I eating today? Or I don't go out to lunch much. If I do, it's at a business meeting or with one of my employees to build that stronger relationship with them and to make sure they're doing good and everything like that. But I have it delivered so I can work while I eat. And then other than that, everything is time blocked. Yes, it is time blocked. Talking about working 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. I work a minimum 12 hours a day. My whole family knows, and everyone in my family knows, I get really antsy when I don't have 12 hours a day of working. That's one thing I'm addicted to is work, and I enjoy it. And so they understand and they can tell. It's like when people get hangry, that's how I get when I don't have my 12 hours of work in.
You're fixed.
Oh yeah. I need my Snickers bar to get me ready to go. On the weekends, because I have a newborn, I do spend very quality time with family. So I really work remotely just from my cell phone. I won't pull up the laptop unless I really have issues. But when everyone's sleeping at night or early in the mornings on the weekends, I'll get some hours of work in. I like to get about 6 hours Saturday and Sunday each of work in. And that's when they're sleeping, and that's when the little one's down for a nap, I'm on my phone working. So, or on my walks, I'll listen to a book or work on my walks.
It's a give take. You're sacrificing your sleep so that you can have your family time. We're friends on Facebook now, so I see you going for hikes and making
Yeah.
sure you get that time in, and you're sacrificing something else, which I really respect.
You have to, and your significant other, really needs to understand up front. When I first met my fiance, I told her, if you want a guy from 9 to 5, I'm not your man.
Yeah.
And I had to tell her that, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago. I said, if you want a guy 9 to 5, you need to let me know now, because we're deep into this relationship. You need to let me know now, because I'm not that 9 to 5 guy. And I can't be, because I have huge goals for the family. I have huge goals that I have to accomplish, and everyone is going to be a part of those. We're going to ride this journey together, but you have to sacrifice something in life. If it's time, if it's a negative person in your circle that you may like, but they're being negative, you have to sacrifice something. You're not going to gain success easily.
Good. All right. Oh, this is a good one. So if you could go back to your first year and do something differently, your first year in real estate, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? I didn't get a mentor or coach, and I should have gotten a mentor or coach early on. I learned by trial and error, which I learned very quickly. I always say a fool makes the same mistake twice. I learned very quickly by trial and error, and I still do. But I have 2 coaches now. One of my coach, he came at a high price point. My other coach, I can probably buy 2 Lamborghinis a month and be happy with those Lamborghinis. But I decided to pay him as a coach because I know down the road I'll have a jet or a yacht by paying him what I pay him on a monthly basis. But he's going to limit my mistakes and also open up connections. And it comes down to you. And I always say this, each individual person that's on this, it comes down to you. What are your goals? Is your goal making 10 grand a month? Is your goal making 100 grand a month, 500,000 a month, or $1 million a month? It all depends on what your goals are. And you need to find a coach that aligns with those goals. And so that it can help limit your mistakes along this journey, so you can reach your end destination of your goal, and then you can create another goal. So if I had to, I would get a coach early on.
That's good. I mean, you guys, you will not find a successful person who does not have a coach, mentor, high accountability.
Someone, yeah.
Never have truly made it. Just to keep growing. So good. Real quickly, any other questions for Chris, maybe in response to anything he's shared today? We're getting lots of good feedback on Eric Thomas here in the chat.
Yes, I see that.
We're gonna have to check him out.
Yeah, he goes by ET. He's phenomenal. I've met him personally in Orlando. I have some multifamily people that know him, and we hung out personally. And he's a great guy. His energy that he just pours off is phenomenal. So
I'm excited to check him out.
Yeah.
So. All right, Chris. Well, this has been so good. I'm going to send out to them. So I'm going to send your email if they want to reach out to you to talk more about the coaching or QC Capital. Cedric's asking UNC or Duke.
I'm a Florida Gator fan. I'm originally from Florida, so I'm a Florida Gator fan. So go Gators. They took away the chomp I saw, but other than that, yeah. If I had to pick, I mean, I like them both. Good thing is I'm talking to both of them about investing in our fund. So if they're on here, I love you both.
I do want to talk more about that. Maybe we could talk you into a part 2 in a couple of months.
I would love that. Anything to add value to people.
We really appreciate it. So I'll send out Chris's info to you guys. Chris, can I get you to pose for a real quick picture?
Yeah.
Anyone who's on the screen, give us a smile or act like you're paying a lot of attention, taking notes. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Chris. And thank you guys all for tuning in. And we just really appreciate it. I got a ton of notes. I'm going to share them with you all and send out this replay. So thanks again.
Yes. Thank you, guys. I hope everyone has a productive day.
Thank you.